I am Melissa, and on behalf of Harvard Bookstore, I am delighted to welcome you to tonight's event with renowned religion scholar and prodigious author Karen Armstrong, who's here to discuss her newest book, The Case for God. Before Ms. Armstrong begins, I'd first like to tell you briefly about a few of our upcoming events. On Monday night, Andrew Basevich will be here in the First Parish Church Parlor Room to discuss the limits of power, the end of American exceptionalism. And just to let you know, tickets for Monday night's event at the Brattle with New York Times correspondents Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wu-Dun is sold out, but we will have signed copies of their book in the store following the event. On Tuesday night, Jill McCorkle will be reading from her new collection of short stories, Going Away Shoes, at the bookstore. And on Wednesday night, novelist Rabi Alameddin will read from the Hakawati, also at the store. Details on all of our upcoming events can be found at harvard.com and on our events flyer. After tonight's talk, Ms. Armstrong will take a few questions from the audience. Please use the microphone in the central aisle to ask your questions, and we ask that all comments be presented in the form of questions and that you are considerate of others also wanting to ask questions and be economical with your use of time. Copies of The Case for God are available for purchase here in the front of the church. Thank you in advance for supporting Harvard Bookstore and this author event series. Your support is vital to our independent shop and is very much appreciated. The book signing line will form in the aisle to your far left, and you should enter it from the back of the church. And one final note, now would be a great time to silence your cell phones if you haven't already. Karen Armstrong, one of the most provocative original thinkers on the role of religion in the modern world, is a former Roman Catholic nun who chose to leave a British convent while pursuing an undergraduate degree in modern literature at Oxford, where she went on to do graduate work on Tennyson. In 1982, she wrote a book about her 7 years in the convent, Through the Narrow Gate. In her more recent memoir, The Spiral Staircase, she discusses her personal travails and her path to becoming an author of books on the great monotheistic religions. Ms. Armstrong has written more than 20 books around the ideas of what Islam, Judaism, and Christianity have in common and around their effect on world events, including the magisterial A History of God and Holy War, the Crusades, and their impact on today's world. Armstrong has written numerous articles as well for the UK's Guardian and other publications. She was a key advisor on Bill Moyer's PBS series on religion. She has addressed members of the US Congress, and she was one of 3 scholars to speak at the United Nations' first ever session on religion. In February of last year, she called for a council of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish leaders to draw up a charter of compassion, an interfaith initiative that was awarded a 2008 TED Prize. Of her new book, The Case for God, The Observer writes, Karen Armstrong is one of a handful of wise and supremely intelligent commentators on religion. As in so much of the rest of her hugely impressive body of work, Armstrong invites us on a journey through religion that helps us to rescue what remains wise from so much that to so many no longer seems true. And Booklist comments that A Case for God registers at once as a classic of religious and world history. And Episcopal Bishop Reverend John Bryson Chain writes, this is a book that is so well researched and so deep with insight and soaring scholarship that only Karen Armstrong could have written it. Please welcome Karen Armstrong.